Hi, how are you doing, girl? Today is the 11th of April, 2019, and I'm so glad that I have the opportunity today, right now, to speak with you. And I hope you're doing well. Um, I hope you're feeling happy and your needs are being met. And I hope that in general, your relationships are going well. Your friendship's going well in high school, and the relationship with your mom and stepdad are going well. Um, I hope that you are achieving peace and comfort in your life. I know it's a quite a challenge, particularly for a lot of teenagers in general, to go through these teen years. And I have a feeling from the feedback I've been getting from you and the feedback I've been getting from your mom that you're really handling it well, and I want to congratulate you on your efforts. Um, you and your mom have worked. Your mom and I have worked hard to um, provide for you the best environment that we can. Um, and living in California on the Central Coast, it's not a bad life. Let me tell you, it's really great. We are quite privileged to live where we are and to live how we live. And your mom and I are continually striving and thinking about your needs and trying to fulfill them as best that we can. I know I'm doing that. So let's see, how am I doing today? I'm doing fine. I'm doing well. I'm really looking forward to the Lucidity Music Festival going on this weekend. And I actually am thinking about how in the future I would like to invite you to come along with me. I think that could be a lot of fun. It is a family friendly event, and one of these days I have high hopes. You know me, I'm quite optimistic. I'm sometimes unreasonably optimistic, but I do daydream at times about you and I going to a music festival together. I think that might be a lot of fun. I know you are a lover of music, and I am a lover of music too. In fact, this weekend, I already have in mind a playlist that I want to share with you on Apple playlists, my Apple playlist that I pretty much share weekly with you. I got some cool new songs that I'm enjoying lately. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I'm also looking forward to getting my braces off. It happened again this morning. I was daydreaming about my braces coming off, and thankfully that'll happen soon. Um, I am looking forward to traveling to New Mexico next month, late next month. I'll be heading out there to see my family. I'll be going to see my mom, Barbara Gibson, and my dad, Ben Trujillo. And I'll also be able to go see my brothers and sisters. Or actually, I've only got one sister, but my brothers and sister. My brother Enrico Trujillo, my other brother Marcos Trujillo, another brother Angelo Trujillo, and my sister Barbriana Trujillo, who was going to get married uh, to her beau, her boyfriend of many years, who uh, but we're looking forward to when they might specify a date for that to happen. So we'll see. I might find out when that date is. Also looking forward to going to my 30-year high school reunion in August 10th of this year, 2019. So I've got a lot of cool things to look forward to. Um, Recently, too, I've also made some pretty amazing improvements in the gym, weightlifting. So I'm really happy to know about those. And I don't know, things are going well. So this video is titled, Who has made the biggest impact on my life? And I'll explain that. So I guess the question is really, who has made the biggest impact on my life? And, the answer to that question is probably my parents. If you really want to get down to it, that's been the biggest influence in my life. And of my parents, probably my mom has been the greatest influence of my life. So, and the greatest influencer too. I know when I was growing up, I I know going to church was a big part of my life. I was going to I was attending Jehovah's Witness meetings, and that sort of there was an indoctrination of ideas that happened, and I know that was very formative. I mean, I was involved in that since I was a baby, all through the ages until I was like age 21, 22, 23 years old. And then I ended up falling away from that organization in particular. But no doubt they had quite an influence on my early life. And, that influence has manifested itself in interesting ways. My focus on education and learning and reading and writing and speaking. I developed a lot of good quality habits as a result. A really strong focus and admiration of the Protestant work ethic, things like that. So I'm grateful for those things. There are things related to that experience I'm not so grateful for, which I might talk about in another video, maybe. But yeah, I think my mom and dad, my parents have been the biggest impact on my life. Now, there are other things. I think the second most great impact on my life has been the books that I read. The books that I read, most certainly. I have some prominent authors have been Nathaniel Branden. He was a big influence on my life. Other prominent authors, although I don't think of myself as a Randian in particular or an objectivist, Ayn Rand was also an influencer of me. Other authors that were significant to me are, let's see, Rational Emotive Behavioral Therapy, the originator of Rational Emotive Behavioral Therapy. I can't remember his name offhand. But those those authors in the self-help genre of books, I almost don't need to specify their names because they, just pretty much any author in the self-help genre. I've read so many of them. They're almost all a blur. But I really have been appreciating their input over the years, and they've had a strong influence on me. And more recently, some of the authors like motivational interviewing, that subject matter, acceptance and commitment therapy, the authors of books related to those fields have been having a tremendous impact on my life, including Carl Rogers and um, what is it, Rosenberg? Marshall Rosenberg, also having a significant influence on my life. So, you know, yeah, the whole continuum between, say, client-centered therapy on the one hand, the non-directive therapy and directive therapy, the Aaron T. Beck, um, cognitive behavioral therapy techniques, all throughout that continuum, from one end to the other, I've been influenced in a lot of positive ways. So those have had major impacts on my life. So now, beyond the books, beyond the parents, beyond the religious instruction, beyond the books, what else has had a major impact on my life? Well, certainly my friends. Absolutely. My friends have had an impact on my life, and my coworkers, and video games. Believe it or not, video games have had a significant impact on my life. These aren't people, but the games themselves there's something about the games that is somewhat addictive, and I know they've had a really strong influence on my life. So beyond that, I don't know. I think those are the elements that have had the biggest impact on my life. So books, video games, parents, religious instruction, and the self-help genre of books. Right there. And of course, there are also I really can't not talk about the internet. The internet and all the software and apps, that has had a tremendous impact on my life. And, in fact, I think for a lot of people, it's unstated and probably unrecognized. But influencers in YouTube or on Facebook, or actually not just the influencers, but the programs themselves, the software themselves has trained me and influenced me, impacted my life in a lot of ways. So yeah, the big three, like Google with their YouTube, and Facebook, and Reddit in particular, Amazon.com, these organizations have had a major impact on my life. And and I really can't thank them enough for helping me make positive changes in my life. Those organizations have added tremendous value to my life. And, I don't think people give them enough credit. There's certainly a lot of bile and ire sort of focused on them in the media and in other people's speech. But really, deep down, they've had amazingly positive impacts on our lives. Truly positive, outsized positive impacts on our lives for what they are, and they're very helpful and insisting. And of course, Bill Gates, Bill Gates and his Microsoft operating system. And, I'm talking about the computer technology itself, like my Apple computers that I've had growing up. I had a Microsoft 128K computer. Got to thank people related to Apple computers, and then eventually Steve Jobs. And, the Bill Gates and Steve Jobs of the world definitely have had an impact through their computer technology development and the organizations that they've led. Countless others who've made contributions to computer and information technology, and even before that, the Industrial Revolution. Ford and Edison and all the scientists, Einstein, all the unspoken heroes, even the ones that go way back, Galileo, Darwin, even back to philosophers such as Aristotle and Socrates. I mean, really, these are the foundations of you know, sort of indirectly having huge impacts on my life. In particular, Democritus and his theories about the atom, um, certainly life changing. I mean, so anyway, I just want to give a special shout out to Sir Isaac Newton. Thank you for inventing the calculus, which I struggled with for 2 years. Actually, more than that, more like 4 years. I have a minor in mathematics. So, anyway, I think that pretty much covers it. So, really, all the influencers and originators of good ideas in science, just really thankful for all of their positive contributions. Really, my friends, my brothers and sisters, right? My cousins. And I really want to thank Darwin in particular, who, has been a huge hero. Yeah. Darwin in particular. Done an amazing job. Thank you very much, Mr. Darwin. You probably will not know the outsized effect you've had on the world. So, pretty amazing. Yeah. What an amazing experience I've had. So I've been impacted, had a lot of positive impacts in the world. And I'm thankful to everyone who's, made a contribution. And I hope that I'm able to make a contribution in return somehow, some contribution to this life and to others to help support their ingenuity and intelligence and curiosity and help them satisfy their needs. Definitely hope that I can make my contribution. I do, in some small way, every single day, right? Even direct and indirect contributions. So, I'm kind of curious about who or what has had large impacts in your life. I'm curious, who is it that you might attribute having really positive benefits in your life? Who do you think of when you think of the person that's influenced me the most in life? I would like to know. Oh, you know what? Now that I almost forgot one of the greatest influences in my life, Emily, and that's you. That's right. I'm not kidding. Yeah, you've definitely been a huge influence in my life, and continuously your presence, directly and indirectly, has really caused me to grow in a lot of ways. Really caused me to sort of transform. Really, yeah. I think to some extent my entire personality has been overhauled, really indirectly, as a result of your influence. I know. It's pretty amazing to think that that is the case. Who knew that the transformative effect of having children would be so great for me? It wasn't something that I would predict necessarily. Certainly, I wouldn't predict it, but for goodness sake, it actually has transpired. So it is somewhat wondrous, somewhat amazing, unanticipated, really. And I'm glad for that. I'm glad that I did, I can remember at one point making a decision to have you, to have you around, thinking, hey, it might be a good idea to have a kid around. And I remember that there was a period of consideration. I mean, I think the period lasted like a good 3 months, where I was like contemplating whether that made sense for me and whether it made sense for Sheila, your mom. It was a real decision that I made, and that you and your mom made. I mean, that me and your mom made, and we made it thoughtfully, based on context, and based on what our vision for the future was, based on our values as people living in the world. And, it was a thoughtful decision made, um, made with consideration, about all the factors. At least for me, it was. was. It, these decisions just don't come out of nowhere, you know. So anyway, I'm really thankful for the decision that we made, and that we were able to be successful, and that, you made your contribution too, keeping yourself healthy and, doing the best you can all the time to, live your life well, right? Perform good actions, perform right actions, and try to act in as sort of a active and healthful way that you can. And I appreciate that. I see that even from a distance. And so thank you for your efforts of learning and growing and seeking out freedom and independence. I mean, I'm noticing that, anyway. So I'm glad things worked out well. And they've worked out pretty well. I mean, it's been 14 years, almost 15 years. And that is something to be congratulated. Absolutely. So anyway, so let's see what else is going on in my life here. What's going on? So let's see. So there's a holiday coming up, and that's Easter. And I really haven't thought about what it is that I'm going to do for Easter. I did invite you to come on over to my place, and I figured what we could do is we could go get some of those Paws egg decorating kits, and we could decorate some eggs by dipping the eggs in the colored dye, and we could make Easter eggs with various colors. We could even use markers or something to color the eggs and make them a little nicer. Maybe some stickers. We could do some stickers on them. And maybe we could even make Easter baskets. That sounds totally cool. We could go get some faux grass or something like that, or even get like a real hay or something and get some baskets and put them together and decorate them with flowers and things like that. And then we can put them on display. That sounds cool. There are a few Easter egg hunts planned. I know there's one planned at Vandenberg, and there's, I think, one planned, the one that typically happens at Ryan Park that's organized by the city of Lompoc. I would totally be up to doing any of those things. That sounds like fun. Easter could be a lot of fun. There's also another thing, March is typically the month when people go and fly kites. I'm totally up for flying a few kites. Let's go do some spring activities, fly some kites, and paint some Easter eggs. One thing that we could do too is that beyond just painting the Easter eggs is that we can hard boil those eggs in water. That sounds like fun to me. I know, Emily, that at least at one time you used to really like hard-boiled eggs. They were something you loved, and we could definitely do that. I've always really enjoyed eating hard-boiled eggs with salt, sprinkled with salt on them, but they're also good with ketchup and salt and pepper. Yeah. So anyway, we could also do some other cooking. We could make some Easter cookies or things like that. So let's see what else is going on. What's sort of getting my attention these days? I think what I'm going to start doing is spending more time caring for plants. I need to do a I'm finding my way around plants. I've actually got 4 plants right now. That's right, 4 potted plants. And I'm looking at them, all of them. In fact, they're all on my dining room table, and I'm looking at them now on my table, and they seem to be doing pretty good. I've got a soil moisture meter, and I need to check them, I think, like every other day or something like that to make sure that they have sufficient water and sufficient light to grow. One of my plants is kind of struggling right now. I think what happened was I kept that plant in the sunlight, and the leaves, it kind of dried out a little bit and the leaves fell off. Not all of the leaves, but some of the leaves fell off. And so I regret that. I'm definitely going to have to, put some extra care toward that plant, make sure that its soil moisture is being, as moderate as possible. I don't want to stress that plant any more than I've already stressed it. Raising plants, it's a practice. It's something that for me doesn't necessarily come naturally. I do have to think about it, and I want to do a good job. In a way, these animals are my pets. They are living things, and I respect living things. And I care for living things. I want living things to grow. And I also like to get that feedback, that feedback about, oh, look, this plant is growing, it's thriving because of some of the actions. There's also pride involved in that, where I feel good. I just feel good when things grow and thrive under my care, right? I feel more capable, I feel more confident. And I'm hoping that, spending some time with these indoor plants will just help me sort of learn how to be more of a better caretaker of living things. Like I said, I don't have a lot of practice. I'm still learning. I wouldn't call myself a person with a green thumb. And, I'm doing the best that I can. So with that, Emily, I'm going to wrap up today's presentation. Again, I want to say thank you very much for clicking on the link and being present with me and sharing your time with me today. I hope you're having a fantastic day today at school. I think next week is spring break, so that sounds fun. Maybe we can spend some time together. If not face to face, maybe we can do so virtually through video teleconference, or maybe we can just plan to, gaze upon the moon together and make a wish. That's something that I'd be into. It's just another way of cementing our relationship. All right. Well, anyway, I'll talk to you later, and I'll send you some texts this Saturday. And I hope you're well, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.